experimental spinal surgery. I could either walk again, or I might be paralyzed from my neck down. My daughter dancing alone, and signed out. I was terrified, but they put the mask on, and everything went black. When I woke up, I looked down, and a miracle happened. I wiggled my toes. I could feel my legs. I immediately FaceTimed my daughter. She answered in the campus hallway. When I told her I had a surprise, she was confused. Then I did it. I stood up on camera, and she was completely shocked. Dad, oh my God, you're walking! She immediately started crying in front of everyone around her, and I started to feel bad. I don't like seeing her, so I got an idea. I tried recreating the daddy-daughter dance we used to do to cheer her up. It didn't work. She started crying more. I saw the car's reverse lights turn on, and my heart immediately started racing. My daughter was doing spins right in front of me on the way to dance class, and I instantly yelled, Macy, no! The car started backing up, and I dove at her. She screamed, and I pushed her out of the window.
And I got 22 and a KI.
She screamed, and I could barely breathe. When I woke up in the hospital, the doctors told me I would...
My father opened the garage on his 16th birthday and saw the 1969 Chevy I spent 18 months fixing up for him. I had sanded the panels myself, and now it had a red bow on the hood that my daughter tied because my Parkinson's disease wouldn't let me. Grandma, is this for real? All my friends ride at least BMWs. What is this? He looked at me in disgust. My eyes watered because I hadn't expected this reaction. This was your grandfather's. He's very sentimental. I spent a year and a half restoring it. Grandpa drove this? No wonder he talks about it. To get ready for school. I had no idea what I was going to do with the car I had built for a kid who wouldn't even look at it. I didn't even have my own car because I spent all my money on repairs. So after school was over, I drove it to Intermont. I was so happy when I saw a kid with torn clothes waiting for the bus. And just as we locked eyes, he checked out the Chevy and ran towards me. He walked a slow circle around it without putting his hand on it. 69, right? He said, almost to himself. I knew this kid knew cars. I said, the car. She sure is. He smiled in a way that warmed my heart. My uncle died days before he died. He used to let me hand him wrenches in his driveway. We used to sell the cars we fixed and use the extra money to buy ice cream.
I got a freaking 40.
I felt so bad for him that I wanted to hug him. I've got to go, man. My bus is almost here. Wait, I called after him. You want it? Then he saw my face and stopped laughing.
Let me try to
I don't have
headshot.
anything to give you in return. Unless you want my bus ticket, he looked so sad about being poor that it broke my heart. I don't know how gifts work. I smiled. I was holding up the keys to the Chevy when my grandson came out the front doors of the school. He saw me, his eyes went wide, and he ran across the lot screaming. I had no idea what he was going to do next, but it looked like he was throwing a tantrum. Hey, that's my car. That's my birthday present. What are you doing? The kid took a step back. The kid was getting hit. You didn't want it, honey. I said, this kid appreciates it like it deserves. My grandson's blood boiled with anger. The kid looked at the car and then his bus ticket, and then my grandson like he was debating what to do. I took the bus ticket and handed it to my grandson. The car is yours. Consider it a trade. Then he got in behind the wheel of the Chevy, and I got in the passenger seat. Oh, and by the way, your dad doesn't talk about your granddad because he was ashamed of you and always talked about you being sick. Then we drove off, leaving my grandson in the dust. My grandson opened the garage on his 16th birthday.
Yuki.
I saw the 1969 Chevy. I had 18 months fixing it for him. I had sanded the panels myself, and now it had a red bow on.
Dave grabbed my tongs and shouldered me off my own grill. Step aside, Alan. Throw handle this. Knock yourself out. I stepped back. Every summer, my wife's brother took over my grill, and every summer, I quietly fixed whatever he said before the guests noticed. My wife called it keeping the peace, but this year she was watching from the patio, and I'd already decided I was done saving him. He picked up my rub-off, sniffed it, and tossed it on the table. Explains a lot. My wife's flipped. Dave pulled the grill open and glanced at the instrument. Bit full, whatever. He slammed it shut. This was a disaster. So I offered him one last way out. You sure you don't want me to take over? He glanced at my wife. Then he laughed loud enough for her to hear. Relax, Jim. I've been doing this since before you had a driver's license. Then he raised his beard to the patio. Wife sent the boy out to grill, but a man's gotta eat. A few guests laughed politely. My wife uncrossed her arms. He cranked all 4 burners to high and dropped a second layer of ribs on top of the first. One slipped off the tongs and hit the deck. He kicked it under the grill before glancing up at the patio. Dave raised the tongs over his head and winked at my wife. She rolled her eyes, then forced a smile when he turned back to the grill. Watch how a grill master does. Then he slammed the lid shut. Seconds later, flames poured out from under the lid, taller than Dave. He climbed into the paper lanterns I'd struck that morning. The whole string went out of the fuse. The rib Dave had kicked under the grill caught too. Black smoke pouring across the deck. Gas scattered, screaming. A lantern fell into the potato salad and set the bowl on fire. Dave was slapping at his sleeve, yelling for someone to get a hose, his beer still in his other hand. Turns out an overflowing grease tray on 4 maxed out jet that nobody liked. It had the number 13 painted on it. Every time it flew a mission, the enemy would attack it. But the jet always returned safely, with no damage at all. The problem was, everyone inside would be found dead. People thought the jet was cursed, and no pilot wanted to fly it. One day, a new female officer arrived at the base. She walked straight up to jet number 13 and chose it without any fear. She did not believe in curses or superstitions. She was ready to fly it on a mission. Soon after takeoff, a warning came in. An enemy stealth jet was spotted nearby. The team had to move fast. Jet 13 landed first. The crew got out and secured the area. As the other two jets landed, the enemy attacked. One jet was completely destroyed. The second tried to escape but was hit by a missile. The officer quickly ordered everyone back into the jet and started the engine. But one soldier was still outside. There was no time to wait. A missile was already coming. At the last second, the soldier jumped in. She fired flares to stop the missile, but the jet still began to fall. She fought hard and regained control just in time. More missiles came, but the flares blocked them all. She ordered her weapons officer to shoot at the enemy jet, but a stone wall kept blocking the shot. So she made a smart decision. She said, "Don't aim at the enemy. Fire at those pillars instead." The pillars collapsed and crushed the enemy jet beneath them. But the danger was not over. Another enemy jet attacked as they flew through a rocky area. She quickly rolled her jet, off the enemy, looked the enemy pilot in the eye, fired her flares, and took him down. She brought her entire team home safely. After that, she flew more than 19 missions in jet number 13. Not a single team member was ever hurt. When new jets arrived at the base, officers told her to switch to a newer one. She refused. She felt a deep bond with number 13. Then one day, the jet was ambushed during a mission. A missile hit the engine directly. The jet lost control and began to fall. It seemed like the end. At the very last second, the second engine turned back on. Everyone survived. Now, a large enemy army was closing in on the ground. Facing tanks and rockets, there was no way to fight back. The officer stepped inside the jet and turned on the self-destruct program. The countdown reached 0. Nothing happened. The jet did not explode. She was completely shocked. At that exact moment, enemy soldiers surrounded her and opened fire. Then suddenly, a massive explosion went off, blasting all the enemy soldiers away. The truth was, jet number 13 had waited on purpose. It held off the explosion until just the right moment, so it could save the officer and her entire team one last time. The jet was never cursed. It was loyal. There was a fighter jet that nobody liked. It had the number 14 painted on it. Every time it flew a mission, the enemy would attack it. But the jet always returned safely, with no damage at all. The problem was, everyone inside would be found dead. People thought the jet was cursed, and no pilot wanted to fly it. One day, a new female officer arrived at the base. She walked straight up to jet number 13 and chose it without any fear. She did not believe in curses or superstitions. She was ready to fly it on a mission. Soon after takeoff, a warning came in. An enemy stealth jet was spotted nearby. Homer drops his donut dough. Homer spills his soda dough. Homer hits the doorway dough. Homer ruins his whole day dough. Homer drops his donut dough. Homer spills his soda dough. Homer hits the doorway dough. Homer ruins his whole day Homer drops his donut dough. Homer spills his soda dough. Homer hits the doorway dough. Homer ruins his whole day
Oh, dang, I haven't even been talking for a long
In
time.
disbelief, she scooped up a bite to taste it, only to discover this wasn't fried eggs at all. Joey also took a bite in disbelief and found that this was definitely no
Easy.
fried egg dish. It was
I'm
actually made from
headshotting
with coconut jelly.
26.
Then the waiter brought out a pot of potted plants.
Down,
This
going
dish was
down.
mostly dirt, but the manager
I'm
explained
not
that
scared
this dish was
anymore.
called the growing salad.
Where the
Just
hell
add
are
water and
y'all?
the plants inside would grow rapidly, and the
I'll
entire dish
kill
was
y'all.
completely edible. Joey was furious. He grabbed the dish and stormed straight
Bruh.
to the restaurant's kitchen. He scolded the head chef,
Guy.
saying he came here to eat, not test experimental dishes. But Chef Paul wasn't angry at all. Instead, he turned around and pulled out a piece of top-grade
Oh,
Australian
dang!
beef. Then challenged Joey by asking,
$20.
"Can you cook this kind of premium
You know,
beef?" Joey
money's-
directly stated that beef was his specialty.
Dang, no money, money,
He grabbed the
pay.
blowtorch and began searing the wagyu until the beef reached medium. Then he sliced the beef
Oh,
into
money,
pieces,
money,
placed them on a cooking plate,
puggy-o.
and carefully adjusted the beef's position. He covered it with a and then came the most crucial
Easy.
Paul lit applewood chips in a container, so the beef would have not only a subtle fruity and sweety aroma, but would also become more tender and juicy.
Drama.
Western cuisine keeps advancing and developing rapidly, while Chinese dishes are too outdated. So this purpose
Drama.
this time was to prove that Western cuisine was the best. Joey just smelled the aroma of the beef without saying much. Then he quickly cut scallions into sections and
I
immediately
won again.
hot oil to reduce their fragrance. He skillfully sliced the A5 wagyu into strips, then stir-fried while watching his beef burn. Because while the scallions couldn't be overcooked, the beef also had to be crispy on the outside, tender on the inside, with juice in the tender meat. Finally, he added cooking wine, cumin, and other seasonings. Just like that, a fragrant scallion-seared beef dish was complete. The confident Joey didn't say anything more and just confidently and casually left the kitchen. Paul curiously tasted Joey's scallion-seared beef. The moment it hit his palate, he was completely stunned. That warmth of home-cooked
Okay, I'm
food
gonna
combined
leave
with
the
such
game.
profound flavors made him realize for the first time that traditional Chinese cuisine wasn't as backward as he had imagined. So what do you think? Which is better, Chinese or Western cuisine? Follow me to watch the next exciting segment.
I spent 11 years not throwing a punch. My son
Sorry.
I fought competitively in my 20s to learn how
I can play anything if you guys want to.
Not when my landlord knocked on my door and told me to be grateful I had a place to live. Not when my boss took credit for my work in front of the whole office. Not when a man followed me to my car at midnight and I had every reason and the ability to make him regret it. People called me calm, controlled, composed, but my son is the one thing in my life I am not composed about. He's
Where's
13,
your lucky
he came home on
block?
Friday, and I heard the door before I saw him. And when I walked into the kitchen, he was already at the table with a split lip and dried blood on his collar. What happened? He looked down and didn't answer right away. Some kids cornered me on the way home. Which kids?
Dang, one
I sat down across from him. He told me they were older kids from the neighborhood just because. He asked me not to. I told him to sleep. That I
We're going swimming
and after he fell asleep, I sat in the kitchen alone.
right now.
7 years of not throwing a punch when
Nah.
very quiet. I had a name and address by the
Okay, let's go race.
hands on
Oh,
the wheel,
dang.
not shaking, steady. He answered the door in a white t-shirt with a beer in his hand and looked at me like he was already bored. I told him my name. Your son cornered mine after
Dang,
school.
I'm slow.
Put his hands on me. He took a sip. Boys will be boys. Kids fight. He'll be fine. My son is 13 and he didn't start it. He leaned against the door frame and shrugged. So he looked me up and down the way certain men do when they have already decided who you are. And something settled in his face. Sweetheart, you said it like it meant something. Why don't we go back to the kitchen and let the men handle this? He turned and started to pull the door closed. The door was still moving, but my knuckles connected clean. He went down on his porch and didn't
Yeah, I'm not
He
even
didn't say a
close.
word. And drove home. He never pressed charges. Last I heard, he told people he slipped. People still call me composed. They're right, I am. They just know
What
better.
else should I play?
Not throwing a punch. My son's split lip ended that streak. I fought competitively in my 20s to learn how to control my anger, and after that, I walked away from everything. Not when my landlord knocked on my door and told me to be grateful I had a place to live. Not when my boss took credit for my work in front of the whole office. Not when a man followed me to my car at midnight, and I had every reason and the ability to make him regret it. People called me calm, controlled, composed, but my son is the one thing in my life I am not composed about. He's 13. He came home on
Okay. Oh, dang,
and
this
when I
could be
walked in the kitchen, he
satisfying.
was already at the table with a split lip and dried blood on his collar. What happened?
Dang.
Down,
Why the heck am I naked? Hey, yeah.
cornered me on the way home.
Whatever.
Which
Going
kids?
swimming,
It doesn't
Waylon.
matter. I
Not
said,
right now.
Which kids? He told me they were older kids from the
Okay.
neighborhood just because. He asked me not to. I told him to sleep, got him cleaned up.
No,
and
stop.
after he fell asleep, I sat in the kitchen alone.
I'm at 22.
Not throwing a punch,
Oh.
went very quiet. I had
Want for live streaming? I'm live streaming. Yeah.
Shut the door!
Why the heck am I still naked? Hey, yeah. Never mind. What the heck? Man.
He turned and started to pull the door closed. The door was still moving when my knuckles connected clean.
Knuckles.
He went down on his porch and didn't get back up. I didn't
Ah!
walk to my car and
God.
he never pressed
Not
charges.
that
Last I
hard.
heard, he told people he slipped. People still call me composed. You're right, I am. I spent 11 years not throwing a punch. My son's split lip ended that streak. I fought competitively in my 20s to learn how to control my anger, and after that, I walked away from everything. Not when my landlord knocked on
Okay.
my door